Uh, Very good morning, all. Then we start up with different types of frameworks available. Okay, how you can define framework is like standard approach or standard process to come up with automation for a specific application for better management and maintenance purpose is nothing but like framework. Okay, this definition you don't see anywhere, but with your experience only you have to come up with. Before that, framework means you may think it may be like some tool or something like that. It doesn't mean. In your QTP doesn't do anything. It will provide you just UI for coming up with automation. So in QTP front, each and everything you will be coming up with, right? Exactly. In your framework also nothing like that. Each and everything you have to come up with. Okay, so framework is nothing but like some standard approach or standard process to come up with automation for a specific application for better management and maintenance. Some approach, some process you will try to follow in order to automate a specific application. So why you will follow some process for better management and maintenance purpose. So that one you can define it as some framework. Okay, so for my earlier batch I come up with framework for the Salesforce application. Okay, so this is the framework you see. Framework is nothing but like simply I have to say means some folder structure. Okay, framework is nothing but like some folder structure. So this is the hybrid framework. So before starting a framework for any of the application, you just create folder structure and you come up with your automation framework. Sorry. So in your QTP front, these all are the different frameworks you will come across. Record and playback. During starting days of your automation, so you will be following no process, no standard. So whatever the manual test cases you were having, you will pick up those test cases. You will just record. You are aware of, right? Any of the automation tool provides record feature. As usual, like in your QTP also. So your manual test cases you'll just simply record, and the recorded script you will enhance with checkpoints or output points. Okay, and the enhanced script you will play back. So this is the type of framework, this is the type of automation during starting days of your automation people were implementing. So this is one you can call it as like record and playback. Sorry, this is the framework. Also you can consider as linear framework. Okay, also you can consider it as linear framework. So this is the framework these days nobody using. Just simply ignore. You should be aware of like different types of frameworks, right? So that's why this is one framework, just that is the thing you should be aware of. So these days no one are implementing like this is the framework. So which are the manual test cases you are having? You just record and play back whenever you get release, whenever you get latest build. Sorry. So that is nothing but like reusable framework. Sorry, record and playback. Then any of the application, if you go for reusability, should be there, right? At least few module, some functionality you should be having reusable steps. So I always use it to say like the example, like let us suppose for your Gmail application you are having 10,000 test cases. So your pickup is not possible to automate 10,000 test cases. So if you want to automate, you can automate, but it's not advisable to go for like 10,000 test cases. The reasons I have explained in detail in our earlier classes. So I don't want to come up with again. Okay, so 1,000 test cases you are picked up to go for automation. So what is the criteria? Which factors you will consider for picking up these 1,000 test cases to go for automation? I have explained in detail in our earlier sessions. Okay, so those 1,000 test cases you have to automate means you have to make it independent. Why you have to make it independent each and every test case? Even this one also I have explained in detail. Okay, so you have to make each and every test script independent means you have to log in and log out separately. So that means like login and log out you have to use 1,000 times. So that one you can make it as a action, and you can make it, you can insert in 1,000 scripts. So this is nothing but like reusable framework. Like that. So before starting up your automation, what you will do is you will try to do analyzation kind of stuff. So which test cases you have to pick up to go for automation? That means so one you will pick up all the test case whatever you are having like for your application. Simply have to say means your manual test case suite. From there you will divide them into two categories, which we can automate, which we cannot automate. From the test cases which we can automate, you will try to analyze which are the repeatable steps you are having for that application. So those repeatable steps you can come up with actions or functions. You can come up with either actions or functions. Those functions or those reusable actions you can insert in main scripts. Right? So this is the kind of framework you can come up with. These days most of the projects you take, so any of the project, any of the application, you should be having some repeatable steps to perform again and again. So you can come up with like reusable framework. Okay, you are coming up with reusable, you are creating reusable components and using again and again. This is very normal basic concept in any of the programming language. Even in your automation also you are trying to implement. So that's why you are considering it as a reusable framework. Sorry, also you can consider as modular framework. Okay, so uh, if we go for, so this is the framework you can consider as hybrid framework. Okay, I will explain you. So this is the folder structure I come up with. So what exactly each and every folder will do? Actions. All of your reusable actions you will place into actions folder. Test documents means all of your framework supported process, strategy, trainings, each and everything gets placed here under documents folder. So test environment is nothing but like some XML it will be having. So in that XML, what exactly it will be having is like so as you aware of, the main advantage of automation is needs to be executed in multiple environments and multiple releases. So which environment, which release you are going to execute? So before starting your before executing, so you will come here, you will try to update the environment and you will go for execution. So that is nothing but like test environment. All of your framework supported functions. See, what is the difference between actions and functions? Actions, as of now, you can remember application related, you can come up with actions. Framework supported, you can come up with functions. Application related like login, compose mail, inbox, outbox, send mail, those kind of things you can put it up here in actions. Okay, those things you can put under actions. Functions, you have to inputs folder you are having here, right? So inputs, what exactly the inputs folder will be having? Inputs.xls. So you have to pass data for all of your test cases to inputs folder. So before executing, so you will try to update your data in inputs.xls and try to execute, but you have to read this data from inputs.xls, right? So QTP doesn't have built-in feature for reading data from XLS. You have to come up with okay, exactly. While generating results, there are, I could have told so many times, while executing your automation framework, built-in results and user-defined results you will try to generate. So built-in reports and user-defined reports. Built-in reports means whenever you execute QTP, okay, so it will generate results, right? So that one you can consider as built-in reports. QTP built-in reports. Okay, so if you go for QTP, once you run this run results window, you will get up, right? So this one you can consider as built-in reports. But the main advantage of automation is normally two concepts you come across: domain expert and automation engineer. Domain expert, he will be pretty good in application knowledge. Sorry. Okay, so domain automation engineer, he is expert in developing automation framework. So automation engineer get the domain knowledge from domain expert and he will try to come up with automation framework development. Okay, and then once automation framework develop, he will give it to domain expert. So domain expert will be using this automation framework for testing the application. Okay, so domain expert doesn't know how to analyze results from this window, right? Meanwhile clients also, they doesn't know your automation. So they may not feel comfortable for analyzing these reports. Right? So that's why it's not advisable to go for this kind of reports. So what you will do is you will be coming up with like your customized reports like summary report and in detail kind of reports. So those one you can generate either XLS files or HTML files or text files or INF files or whatever you feel comfortable you can go for. Okay. So again these functions so these reports you have to generate. Okay. So if it is HTML, so this is the way you can come up with. Okay. So this is nothing but like summary report, in detail report, specific test case got failed, at exact which step got failed you have to get to know. You go there and oh here it got failed, like that you will get to know. Sorry. Okay. This is the way exactly you can come up with like your Excel file format also. QTP doesn't have this built-in feature. You have to come up with these kind of functions. You will try to put it up here in function library. Framework supported means you have to come up with like summary report and in detail report. Okay, so those reports you have to generate. Again you have to come up with VBScript functions. All those one you will try to put it up here in function library. Inputs you can pass it up through inputs folder. Your manual test case you put it up here. Okay, all of your manual test cases you can put it up here. Master driver, this one drives whole of your automation framework. Okay, so before executing what we will do is this test night execution.xls1 file is there, right? Here which are the test cases you want to execute, all those test cases along with path you can pass it up here. And see, first iteration you were executed 1000 scripts, so 700 scripts got failed, passed. 300 scripts got failed. So those 300 got failed means may not be exact real application. In many some things may happen like unexpected events, our network may go down or something like that. Okay, so due to that some of the test cases got failed. So if you put for second execution, some of your scripts may get passed. Okay, so 300 scripts around 50 or 100 may get passed. So here my point is always you may not get a chance to execute your 1000 test cases, right? So which test case you want to execute, so those one you can control with the help of execution flag. So wherever you put pass, all those one it will get execute. Fail, it doesn't execute. N, if you fail it doesn't execute. Okay, so result passed or failed. Execution time, how much time it has taken, that one it will take it up from here. If you want to add comments you can add comments in this portion. Okay. Sorry. So before executing you will try to update this night execution.xls and inputs folder also. Inputs data also you will try to update, and which environment you have to execute. These 4 files you will update, and while going home you just double click on this master driver. Tomorrow morning you will come and you will be able to see mail like these many scripts put for execution, these many scripts got executed, these many scripts got passed, these many scripts got failed, like summary and in detail just now how I shared. Okay, this kind of reports you will be able to see. Okay, for that one you have to come up with functions. I will explain you how we'll be implementing framework, right? Each and everything I'll be telling. Recovery for your framework. Recovery scenario you are using means you can go for like recovery, and all of your scripts you'll put it up under test scripts folder. So here all of your main script, so shared object repository. Okay, so shared object repository you are implementing for your, these days most of the people coming up with shared object repository only. Okay, so you can put it up here. So modular framework means any of the application today, if you go, you should be having some reusable repeatable steps. So in this framework, before that sorry, remember one thing. In all of these folder structure is not fixed, not static, looks like this. Okay, so whatever the project, you can come up with framework like that, so you can customize according to your project. So each and every framework, each and every project, you have to come up with exactly like this. There is no restriction like that. Okay, looks like this. Okay, so in this before that I will tell you like what is data driven framework. In your manual testing front, you could have told like retesting means same test cases, multiple sets of data you will be passing again and again. Okay, so that means like executing the same test case again and again by passing multiple sets of different data, that one you can consider as retesting. In your automation front, that one you can consider as data driven testing. Okay, so that one that data how you can pass through inputs.xls. That means here data is driving your framework, right? Data is driving your framework. So Gmail application, if you take username, password, URL, similarly component 2cc bcc subject matter, like that, the data where you can pass through xls file. Right, through xls file, right? So any of the application, if we take 98% of the applications, if we take, depends on data, right? So data is driving your framework, so this kind of framework you can consider as data driven framework. Okay, so in this folder structure, if you remove inputs, okay, you remove this folder, that means like data is you are not having, other folders you are having, all other folders except inputs. That means this kind of framework you can consider as reusable framework or modular framework. Okay, that means actions you are having, you see, reusable actions, that means like reusable to your implement, that means reusable framework, also you can consider it as modular framework. Okay, from this folder structure, except actions, all other folders you are maintaining, let us suppose, except actions, all other folders you are maintaining, that kind of framework you can consider as data driven framework. That means like inputs folder you are having, so data is driving your framework, so this kind of framework you can consider as data driven framework. Then hybrid framework. So hybrid framework is nothing but like combination of modular driven plus data driven, is nothing but like hybrid framework. Okay, so you could have got some idea. So which is the framework containing both actions as well as inputs, both you are managing, so that kind of framework you can consider as hybrid framework. Okay, so both like actions as well as inputs. Okay, so if you come up with that kind of framework, that means like combination of modular driven plus data driven. Sorry, Today IT industry, any of the application, if you take for any of the application, you can come up with like reusable components. Similarly, most of the applications data is driving, right? So any of the framework today you are coming up with means that is hybrid framework. Sorry, okay. So any of the framework these days you are coming up with means that is nothing but like your hybrid framework. Okay, so this is nothing but like your hybrid framework. Before moving further, anybody having any questions? I have unmuted. Okay, I have unmuted. Anybody having any questions? So this is nothing but like different types of frameworks you will come across. Okay, then we can go for like keyword driven framework. Your final framework, you are saying one more like keyword driven framework. So before that, QTP is advanced keyword driven automation framework tool. Okay, if you go for QTP, okay, so somewhere you see QTP is advanced keyword driven framework. Why you are calling it as QTP is advanced keyword driven framework? Means here, if you record any of the application, let us suppose see here navigate, see here set secure web checkbox dot set. Okay, set on or off, click means here keywords are driving your framework. Okay, that's why you can consider QTP as advanced keyword driven framework. Okay, so that's why you're considering it as QTP as advanced keyword driven framework. This kind of framework you can implement. So this kind of framework you have to implement means how you can come up is if you go for master driver, okay, so see here browser page object type object type object name validation 1 validation 1 validation 2 okay value result. Result. Okay. Hmm. Okay, so okay, so this is the way you can come up with. So what you can do is, on which browser, on which browser, okay, on which browser, which page 1. I'm just giving you example. What is the object type? Link. If it is link, okay, so what is the object name? About Gmail. Validation 1. Here validation 1 means, if it is link, whether it's navigated to whatever the page here you specified, whatever the page you specified here, whether that page is navigated or not. Okay, navigation. Here you can come up with like navigation. Okay, so for sometimes you may come up with like validation 2 also. At that time you can go for. Okay, okay, result. During execution it will return you pass or fail. Exactly like this. If it is about Gmail, cannot access your account, cannot access your account. No, this one, yeah, even this one are new features. Gmail or what will come across in Gmail page? Okay, new features. Switch to Gmail, create an account. So many links are there, right? So create an account. Okay, again same validation, navigation. Okay. Okay, so like this you will be filling up. So one more we come up with. So page 2, let us suppose this is in page 2. So edit box, edit box. So edit box means username. Okay, set. Okay, so if it is username, you have to set value, right? Some username. Okay, so okay, so checkbox, checkbox. Okay, so here remember, stay signed in. Okay, this is check. Okay, so check which property you have to validate. So if it is check means you have to make it, you have to validate on or off. Okay, so like this you will be passing keywords. Okay, so these keywords you have to, your automation framework is driving. Once you come up with your automation framework like keyword driven framework, so you will give it to domain expert. So domain expert from this page, so from this application, which are the validations you have to perform. So all those one, browser, page, which object, which, what is the object name, which type of validation you have to perform. So all these one you'll be passing output for execution, and he'll be checking like result pass or fail. QTP doesn't do anything in this front. For implementing this kind of framework, you have to read these values from your Excel and you have to come up with functions. Okay, you have to come up with functions for all of these validations. Okay, so again, see your hybrid framework you are having, right? So your hybrid framework, this framework, as usual, you will come up with as usual you'll come up with. In addition to this, you will implement one more stuff, that is nothing but like this is the way. That means at that point of time you don't be having like object repository. No, either of the way you can come up with. Either you can use object repository or you may not use object repository. Either of the way you can come up with. So this kind of framework you can consider as keyword driven framework. Means here your keywords, see each and everything you are passing in the form of a like keyword. So your keywords are driving your automation framework. That's why this framework you are considering it as keyword driven framework. So keyword driven framework, how you can define it as combination of all these three plus one more, means this kind of keywords. So that kind of framework you can consider as keyword driven framework. These days most of the people coming up with this kind of framework. Okay, it's not that much easy and meanwhile not that much difficult also, but it will be very interesting. Okay, so these are the different types of frameworks you will come across in your QTP friend. And this one, during descriptive level programming, if you remember, like there are two types of descriptive level programming, right? Static and dynamic. Static means you will statically mention in your QTP itself, but dynamic means the properties you dynamically fetch, like description.object. At that time I could have told you, but even descriptive.object, there is I have directly mentioned properties, but these properties, for each and every property you will assign description.object or something like that, right? So those properties you can get it up from here in this XLS file. That is the real meaning of your descriptive dynamic level descriptive level programming. Dynamically you are passing each and every object properties in the form of like here. That one you can consider it as like dynamic descriptive level programming. Okay, as of now you can remember this is the stuff. Once we get into framework, we'll be implementing each and everything. So at that point of time you will get clear picture like how we implement our framework. Okay, so if you remember, I could have described every time like during manual testing or automation testing, I could have taken like Gmail application as an example. So why I have taken reason also I could have told you so many times. You have to understand the concept first. Okay, so if I take any new application, so one side I have to explain application, another side I have to explain QTP concepts or manual testing concepts. So you may get confused or you may not understand that much clearly. That's the reason I have taken Gmail so many times or every time for explaining any of the concept. But for implementing framework, we can take one real-time application. For that application we'll try to come up with framework implementation. Okay, so any of the application you have preference, means you can come up with for that application is if we can come up with a framework, or we'll take like some online applications or some specific application, some real-time application. So for that one, we'll try to come up with framework implementation. Okay.